That's the Space Needle, and we're in Seattle, Washington, on our way to Wenatchee, Washington, to see Sandy Anderson. She's an expert apple pie maker, and if you're talking about the ultimate apple pie, you start out in Avignon at the apple orchard of France, and you end up in Wenatchee, which is the apple capital of the world. Sandy's an expert at making apple pie. She used to make it with her mother and her grandmother. We arranged to meet at a place where you can find fresh apples all year round.
Well, Tyler, here we are at Mountain Growers.
Oh, it's cold in here.
It is cold in here, but
that's
what keeps the apples fresh.
Sure.
It keeps them fresh year round.
What's the temperature in here?
Oh, boy, it's probably about 34 now, I guess, yeah.
Should brought a jacket.
So we'll grab a couple bags.
Okay.
We're going to get two varieties today. We're going to get Goldens over here, and we're going to get Jonathans over here.
Right.
And as you see, there's a lot of variety of apples here. There's at least 50 different brands of apples.
And now, why do you use Gold Delicious apples?
They hold up well in baking, and they have a distinct flavor.
It's always best to get a big apple so you don't have to peel so much. Right?
It is. That's right. Yeah, you choose the big one so you don't have to peel so much. Right. There's a good one right there. Yeah, great.
Okay, so how many do we need?
Oh, that should be plenty. That should be plenty. Yeah.
A big sack of apples.
That's a big sack of apples.
What else
and then over here are the Jonathans. They're my very favorite apple to use.
So you like to use two different kinds of apples?
Always use two for the different texture of the apple after it's cooked and for the flavor. Just really brings out the flavor of the Golden Delicious. Good, huh? Fresh. Yeah, right off the tree.
Oh, they're very good apple.
And they're a pretty apple, too. They've got the red and the colors.
Looks like autumn.
It does.
You know,
It smells good.
Yeah, the reds and the browns.
Very good. Yeah. All right, well, I think we've got enough apples here. We'll head back and start making our pie.
So it's back to Sandy's and a lesson in the fine art of the great American apple pie.
We're going to make an apple pie. It's a traditional apple pie. First, we're going to start with our flour.
Okay.
I used just plain white baking flour. And next, I add vegetable shortening. And you just put that in there. And then we use 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Sprinkle that in. And then you take your pastry blender and mix it up. This gets it mixed up so that your hands don't get quite as dirty.
Okay.
You don't want to mix it up too much because you want to have the little separate particles. That's the shortening, and that's what makes it flaky.
We just got back from France in Avignon, and this guy made this apple tarte tatin, and he has sort of had the same thing. So sort of a general rule with pastry dough. Don't overwork.
Overmix.
Yeah, because it will become kind of chewy and hard.
That's very true.
And if you actually take a look at this, when you clump the flour together, all right, and you break it apart in little pieces like that, you can almost see where it's going to start to flake. And when you bake this, it makes a really, really nice crust.
You want to mix it until it's about the texture of cornmeal. If you want it to be light and flaky.
Sure.
And then I take the ice water, and I put first just a tablespoon in, and then you just start mixing that in. What it does is it chills the shortening down, and as you can see, it causes it to kind of clump up a little more.
Sure. And
then add up to 6 to 8 tablespoons of water. So you just kind of move it around until the clumps start getting bigger and bigger. And then it turns into one big clump.
And that is beautiful pie dough. Very nice. And without beautiful pie dough, there's no beautiful apple pie.
To use the Jonathan and the green golden. And you want to try to cut them as consistently the same size as you can.
Okay.
So they bake evenly.
I like your little tool with the melon baller.
Oh, yeah. It works pretty good for getting the center out really easily.
And it's good because there's nothing worse than having a little bit of the core and like a nice bite of apple pie.
It works very good. Good job on that one. Look at that. Good job.
I like the idea of actually mixing apples together. It's really smart.
I always mix two kinds, because it just the flavor, you just need it for the flavor.
It's like that Technicolor apple taste.
And then we add our brown sugar. And then you just add the white sugar, too. And that gives it the caramely flavor, but it's not overpowering.
Okay.
Just kind of stir it around a little bit. Then we add our flour. The flour is a thickening. You don't need very much because the apples, you want them to be juicy. But you want it just kind of thickens it up a little bit.
Yeah, so it actually has that little gel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mix it up, too. Same thing like we did with the sugars. Then we add our cinnamon. I use fresh cinnamon.
Freshly grated cinnamon makes such a huge difference when baked in pie. You're absolutely right.
But you can smell this, and it smells like apple pie. I mean, it's not even baked.
Smells like apple pie.
Yeah, and it smells like apple pie.
I can't keep my fingers out.
Go ahead.
I love it.
But it does. It smells, and that's what you want. And it smells, even raw, it tastes like apple pie. So that's what you want.
That is delicious.
So then you take half of your dough.
Okay.
Half of the top, half of the bottom. Right. So you just want to kind of roll it and roll it. You don't want to kind of like push it, because if you push it, it tends to stretch the dough. All right. Take your pie plate. And I find if you roll it up this way, it's much easier than trying to pick it up and
yeah, look how smart that is.
Yeah, you just hold it. It works beautifully. And then you can evenly roll it, and you don't stretch it. If you pick it up, you're going to stretch it when you go to lay it in your pan. You really don't want to stretch it. And then you have to be very careful when you place the pie filling in there, because you want to make sure that they're flat. Now we just take little bits of butter and place it on the top before we put our top crust on. And this just gives it a little extra flavor.
I love that.
And then I just crimp this, see where the two are, just a little bit together like this. And then I just kind of fold it under
so that's basically, if you don't go this extra step to make sure the two layers are nice and sealed.
And sealed together,
all that juice, because when stuff gets hot, it's going to want to escape someplace, right? Like a volcano.
That's right.
You got to seal it up so it doesn't go anywhere. That's a good looking pie.
Yeah. And then put your two fingers here and pull.
All right, let me try one. So like that?
And then pull it back.
Like that. See that? I got this.
We cut little steam vents in it. I just make little cuts. The last thing I like to do is I always like to sprinkle a little sugar and cinnamon on the top. It just gives it a pretty look, and it tastes good. So you just take a piece of foil to protect the crust. Just gently put it around
carefully.
Like that. Very carefully.
A little collar.
Yeah, just a little collar. And then you put that and kind of connect it to this side. Yeah.
Like that.
And then that just stays on for 20 minutes.
Well, I've got the pie if you got the oven door.
All right.
How long are you going to cook this for?
We cook it at 375, 20 minutes, and then you remove that piece of foil and cook it for 20 to 25 more minutes until it's golden brown.
All right, maybe it's the fresh country air, but I can hardly wait to dig into that homemade apple pie. Look at that. That is spectacular. All right.
Ta-da!
Oh, look at that. That is a thing of beauty. Look at that pie.
Perfect.
That's gorgeous. Well, I think this is traditional. It's
to me,
classic,
this is a tradition.
satisfying. It's an apple pie. It's not fussed with. It's perfect. Yeah, this is the best part. You get a little cold ice cream
with the hot
a little
sweet
hot
pie.
apple pie. I like that temperature contrast. Well worth the trip to the apple capital of the world. Cheers. That was a good piece of pie. So, from the apple orchard of France to the apple capital of the world, it's all too soon for me to return to the Big Apple. Now, I really